afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the premiere episode of the Small Talk. I can speak, guys. Small Talk podcast with Anandi and myself, yours truly. This is a monthly podcast show, local news, local businesses, and again, I want to say thank you to Anandi for coming aboard as a co-host, and we're looking forward to our first guest tonight, guys. And her name is Danielle Joworski, and we're just going to bring her on in one moment. I have so many graphics on here, guys, so just bear with us, and I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. And
Yeah.
and it's
I,
hard. It's hard. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting to be here today for the premiere episode. Thank you for doing the technical stuff. Look at me. Look, Ma, no hands. Where's Chris's hands? He's doing all the doot. That's Chris. So thanks for looking after the technical aspects today, as well as co-hosting, Chris. Awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm still learning. I still make my mistakes, but you know what? The only way you learn is by doing things hands on, and I think that's the best way of training is hands on.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, again, thank you for coming on here as my co-host, and I look forward to our guest today, Danielle Joworski. Did you want to introduce her, and
Of
Andy?
course, yeah. So I have the pleasure. I've met Danielle before, and Danielle Joworski is a mindset coach and visibility consultant for women 40 plus. As well, in the past, we know her from Rogers TV. Chris, myself, and Danielle all have some sort of connection to Rogers TV community TV station, and she was the host of C-Suite Instudio in the Guelph area and longtime volunteer as well. Welcome, Danielle. Thank you for joining us.
You're most welcome. And thank you, Chris and Anandi, for this opportunity. And not just the opportunity to connect and have some small talk with you, but this is your first episode of this new podcast together. Congratulations. Congratulations on making it happen and stepping up and being visible that way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well. And like I said, there's still a few things I need to work on and improve, but I really enjoyed doing the podcasting show and now creating a new one with Anandi as well. And I think we'll be very successful on here.
Yes, you will. You will, absolutely. Like you were both saying, it's all about learning. You're going to learn every single time. And within no time, the two of you are going to have this really good back and forth and tempo, and just it's going to flow. It's going to flow. So I'm looking forward to seeing your next episodes.
Yeah, I love that word, Danielle. That has been my mantra, I think, since the new year. And not because of a New Year's resolution or anything. I probably was just reading something. And that is for this year, for 2023, that's my mantra. It's flow. Let's go with it and let's see. I mean, use your noodle, but go with it and see where the flow goes.
Absolutely, because why it can be hard, and so often we make things so much harder for ourselves when really sometimes if we just kind of give up, we let the resistance go, and we just kind of run with the water instead of trying to paddle upstream. It's so much, it's easier, it's more fun, and that's when you almost notice for me when you're in the flow. It also means for me I'm doing something that's really aligned. I'm doing an activity that I feel really good about, that's aligned with whatever purpose, goal I'm working towards. But when it goes so smooth and flow and it's effortless and takes next to no energy, that's the flow. And I know, okay, this is all good. It feels good and it is good.
Nice words of wisdom. So Danielle, I can start this small talk off because we just start with small talk and we'll see what big ideas out or small ideas. We'll go with the flow. So Danielle, tell us a little more. We know a little bit about you, but those who are watching and listening, thanks for joining us. I want them to know more about you. So tell us about yourself. Just start. Where do you want to start? Tell us about yourself.
Oh my gosh. Well, just really, like Chris said at the very beginning of the introduction. So I am a visibility coach, and really I am super passionate about elevating the presence and voices of other women entrepreneurs, specifically us women who are over the age of 40. I stepped into the business world the first time from the corporate world at 40. Lots of learnings. Like Chris said, we're always learning, some not being very successful in that business. So I ended up returning to the corporate world after my first business I did that for about 2.5 years. And that return had a lot of guilt, a lot of shame associated with it. And it was really the reason I had to return was I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. When I stepped out of the corporate ladder, it was a decision at 40. I wasn't prepared for what it is that I wanted to do. I wasn't prepared for everything that it took to run a business the first time. And I really was not very confident in who I was and being able to put myself out there and to be visible as a business owner, to not be afraid to voice my opinion, to not be afraid to show my face, especially on camera. But that when I had to return to corporate, it was always with this idea that I would return again. I'd become an entrepreneur again. I just needed to figure out what it is I was passionate about. I needed to transform my mindset around my comfort level, being visible. And that's really where the C-suite came from. And that's really is what led to where I am today, focusing on visibility, specifically for women entrepreneurs 40 plus.
And why is visibility important for let's say that age demographic and that gender? What are the challenges of that demographic and visibility?
Yes. So for me, I could speak from experience and the clients that I work with. Like when I do market research around visibility, there's always those two big factors that hold women back that I hear time and time again. The first is appearance. They are afraid of how they look, how they sound, putting things together. I just did a post before this live about, I went into my closet and thought, what am I going to wear? And it was this worry about, oh, am I not going to look good? Or is it? So I deal with that as well. And I talk about hashtag visibility truths, because there are so many things about becoming more visible that hold ourselves back. And it's this internal dialogue we have with ourselves, especially as we're getting older. We've seen lots in the news over the last year, especially with women who are older, showing up, being themselves, getting a lot of criticism for it. And so that is part of that appearance piece that a lot of women feel that's holding them back from putting themselves out there. They're afraid of how they look. It's not good enough. There's this perception of what we should look like at a certain age or online. And when we don't see ourselves matching that image, it becomes that, well, I'm not good enough, or I have to change something first before I can show up. The other big piece that I deal with a lot with my clients, and I hear a lot about when I talk with women, is the confidence piece. I'm lacking confidence, so I need to learn how to do something. I need another skill set. I need a different marketing strategy. And for me, it's not confidence. We're focusing on the wrong thing. And because confidence is an output of the beliefs that we have around why we need to put ourselves out there, beliefs in who we are, and even sometimes other people's beliefs in ourselves and their belief in us. And when there's a belief, it allows us to take courageous action. And it's the actions that allow us to create knowledge. We now get experience, and that's where the confidence comes from.
Okay, right. It's about being authentic. Chris, I'll let you jump in now. You must have a question.
I was going to say, Danielle, my story is a little different from yours, but I was sort of in the corporate world for my old profession and security. And to be honest, the last 7 months, I've been a lot happier, and I think I've done more learning and doing new challenges and new opportunities in the last couple years than I did for about 24 years. And it can be scary. Change can be scary, no matter if you're a male or a female, and especially being older. I know what it's like to be complacent and comfortable. And I've been stepping out of my comfort zone a lot in the last couple years. And I just love the opportunities, and I'm learning new things that I never thought I would learn before as well.
Absolutely. It's because you're stepping outside that, like you said, the known, the comfort zone. When you do that, it's scary. And the unknown is scary because it's unknown. You can't necessarily predict it. You don't have a lot of experience to draw upon. And that in itself holds a lot of people back from making those bigger, bolder changes, especially like what we've done later in life, midlife plus. We're making these big, bold changes around our careers and following a passion towards what it is that we want to do. That's very different from what we used to do.
And one thing I was going to say too, and Andy, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're go. It's small talk. We jump in, jump out. It's small talk. Do it, man.
Definitely. One thing too in any career, not just doing media like I'm trying to do, is rejection is going to be a part of it, and you just have to not let it keep you down, and just find out what you can improve on, continue to learn, and keep yourself motivated, and continue to have a strong passion. I find if you lose your passion, then maybe it's time to move on to something else.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's good. It's interesting that you use the word passion, because that's, Ananda, you were talking about your word for 2023, which is flow. Mine for 2023 is passion. And I really,
Nice.
because for me, it's that, it's not just how do I want to feel, it's I want that passion to drive the conversations I have, the opportunities that I pursue, and the work that I do. I really want to feel that, so that when I show up to have a conversation like this with the two of you, I'm really passionate about having the conversation, the topic we're going to talk about, passionate about spending the time with people. Like, we get to spend half an hour together on a Saturday evening. This is fun. Like, this is what's driving me. Because for me, if I can feel passionate about something, I know I'm going to show up feeling more like my best self. It's going to be authentic, like that was mentioned earlier, and it's going to be a lot more fun at the end of the day.
Oh,
Absolutely.
and that passion shows, Danielle. We can see it. I think all of us here have that love of communication. Well, each of us have our own little thing, right? Like Chris is really looking to get into radio and broadcasting, and for you, it's about visibility and mindset. And for me, it's storytelling. And I think we use similar platforms, but it's with our own little touch, our own little unique touch that comes with it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love, like, when you said storytelling, because that is so powerful. That ability to tell stories. And because one, you have to be vulnerable in order to be able to do that. So you have to
Mhm.
have a certain level of belief in yourself and confidence, or even that comfort level, or that knowing that if I share my story, as difficult as it may be, if it can help someone else overcome a challenge, then it's worth it to put yourself out there, to become visible, because then someone else isn't going to suffer, or they're going to at least feel that, oh, I'm not alone. And so often we feel, especially in this very connected world, we still feel really alone in our challenges.
Absolutely. And Andy, what we're gonna do with questions and that, you ask the first one, I'll ask the next one, and then we'll just rotate. So this one, I wanted to ask you, Danielle, as well. What was it like going from the corporate world to being an entrepreneur and a mindset coach and a visibility consultant for women 40 plus? And did you have a mentor or mentors when you first started your career change?
Oh my gosh. So I'll answer kind of almost in two parts. So the first time I stepped out from corporate into the entrepreneurial world is very, very different. The experience is very different from stepping out the second time. The major difference between the two was I had a lot more knowledge. The second time I had more knowledge of things that did not go well the first time. And I committed to myself to not making those same mistakes again. So I put in place different elements and different steps, and I had to put myself out there in different ways, because I did not want to achieve the same results. So when I stepped out the first time, no plan. It was just 40th birthday. I'm done. This is no longer a path for me. I just didn't have that awareness of what else was out there. And I was trying to do this personal growth, exploration, and discovery at the same time as trying to grow a business. So there was so much learning going on, and that in itself was causing a lot of visibility challenges. Stepping out the second time, learning again, during those few years I was back in corporate, that's when I started hosting the C-suite. I had to get over my fear of being in front of the camera in order to host a TV show. And it was the belief in the impact that I could create. It was the belief in really wanting to provide other women entrepreneurs with a platform, so that they could be seen and heard, so that they could be found and hired, so that they did not face the same result in their business that I did, which was having to close up and return to the corporate world. That those beliefs really helped to drive and get past the fear of showing up and being visible. So the second time when I stepped out, it was okay. So what didn't work? Visibility was a one. Very specific coaching was a second, and the third was really surrounding myself with a strong network of people that I know, liked, and trusted, who really helped me make that transition the second time a lot easier. We're going to use the word flow again. It really helped me to become much more comfortable growing a business again successfully the second time when the first time it wasn't as successful.
Can I add something too? Also, when
Yeah.
you're in a new career as well, and Andy, this goes for you too as well. You want to continue to grow in that development and not shrink or hide from the moments. And that's going to lead to my next question. I'm going to let and Andy. I'm still working on that, by the way.
No, you know it, Chris. I think it's because the camera's rolling. You're doing that. You know, when it's normal times, you know my name, so it's
Yes.
all good. And I just
Yes.
wanted to before I go into the next question, Danielle, two things I just want to highlight. When we talked about age 40, and that's part of your story, that this was a milestone for you when it's 40, and to share my own experience. Now I'm still at the corporate world, a couple decades in, at least 2 decades in. But I found at age 40, for me, I just thought, awesome. And I used the word, a 4-letter word that I won't use on air, but I thought, I don't give a bird's turd anymore what anybody else thinks of me. It was a very liberating age for me, in fact, where I guess maybe I thought, well, whatever expectations my parents had for me, well, I hadn't met them at age 40, so yeah, they can give up on that. And that's something I just made up in my mind. They probably were happy where I was at, but I felt, the weight of society's expectations just sort of went away at age 40. And that's when I started volunteering with Rogers TV and looking into broadcasting, as a hobby. So 40, interesting for you that it was sort of a milestone year for you, and it was a milestone year for me as well.
Interesting. And I find a lot of the clients I work with as well. It's interesting. There is definitely something about that age. I don't know if it's because we have this mindset around 40 being over the hill or what it is, but all my clients, when I started my business the second time, they were all women over 40, just naturally attracted and again flowed to me. And I found it's almost this age where you look at it and say, okay, well, I've been in my career for 15 plus years. And then you've gotten to a certain point, you've climbed to a certain point, or even if you've been in business since your 20s, you've gotten to a certain point, and it almost becomes this very reflective age, I find. And the women I work with, it becomes this age you start asking yourself, what else can I do? Is this truly what I want to do? What else? Or there's almost a sense of more. What else can I do that's something more that may be a little bit different, that if we don't pursue it now, there's this feeling of this sense of time, like, well, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. Or if I don't start now, then I'm going to be even older. It's definitely this age.
This
and
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah. That clock is going.
Yeah. Not biological, but yeah, just the sands of time, right? They're moving through the hourglass. And the other thing that I wanted to sort of highlight was you talked about the people that you surrounded yourself with. And I was listening to a speaker, Darren LaCroix. He's with State Tribe University, and he talked about who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with, because we're like sponges. So we absorb not only their knowledge, but we absorb their energy. And if people are whatever, I don't mean people are human, right? They go through their stuff. But if someone is going through a negative time, you're still friends with them, but you have to be kind of mindful that you do surround yourself with positive people and people that believe in you as well. That's so important. Yeah,
absolutely.
Being very mindful of the people you surround yourself with, and who do you spend time with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very intentional. And something I talk about in my work is your team of believers, surrounding yourself with that team of believers, because enough people are going to knock you down. There's going to be the naysayers, or even as you start to become bigger in your career or your business, not everyone's going to be happy for you. And it becomes like, yeah, you want to surround yourself with people who support you, but also people who get big dream thinking, big, bold change. Because big change, especially midlife plus, it can be a lot more risky. So that's something I've had to do, is not just surround myself with that team of believers, but also big thinkers, big dreamers, and also people who are taking those big actions towards their big goals and their dreams too.
Okay. I'm going to steal that, Danielle. I love it. Team of believers. That's in my lexicon now. All right. So the next question that we had, we did a little research on you, Danielle, and there's something that you do. And can you explain it to us? Can you explain stop hiding and playing small?
Oh, absolutely. And this is something I talk about for myself, it comes really from myself, where I look at hiding and playing small. And I see it when I work with my clients, it becomes we're hiding. Like we're hiding either behind a post versus getting in front of the camera. And it's this mindset, and then our actions that come out of the mindset, where for me it became, especially when I started my business the first time, it was, well, I can't say something, I can't voice my own opinions, my own opinions. So I would hide behind doing posts of other people's memes. I would hide behind someone else's words instead of being open and trying to use my own voice. I would hide behind posts versus getting in front of a camera, because that was that next step where it's bigger, it's bolder, you're sharing more of yourself, more vulnerable. I didn't want to do that. And even in my career, when I think back, I'm like, oh, there were definitely ways that I was hiding, because I was hiding behind this belief that in order to apply to a promotion, I needed to have 90% of the requirements of the job posting before I could even think about applying. Or if it was what I would think was an illogical career path, I can't do that because that's not that next logical step. So I would hide behind these different mindsets that was actually limiting my growth, my development, my movement forward. And at the end of the day, my ability to, I'm impact driven. I realize that now. And I was really, by hiding, I was behind other people's words, behind posts and not the camera. I was limiting my ability to create the impact that I want to have. So when we're hiding and playing small, it's doing those small little things. We're staying in our comfort zone. We are afraid to put our hands up, or as entrepreneurs, sometimes stick our heads above the sand to be seen, because then you get seen, even though as business owners, we need to be seen and heard in order to be found and hired so that we can do what we love to do. Being seen and heard, that it takes a lot of courage, because when you are seen, you're seen. And then that opens yourself up to being judged by others.
Yeah. And I was thinking, can you give us an example of when you stopped hiding? I'm sure there are many times you stopped hiding, but give us one example of when you stopped hiding.
Absolutely. So the first time for me, like the biggest one would be when I created and then sent in. So one was the creation of this idea that I had about the C-suite. And then I submitted that to Rogers TV, because for me, that was big. I was putting myself out there. There was this idea that I had this passion to have this show, this platform for women, to connect women's career and business challenges to the solutions provided by women entrepreneurs. Just taking this idea, making it visible on paper, and then sharing that with someone else. That was huge for me, because my background is not media and broadcasting. I have a manufacturing background. My first job was in a microbiology lab. I have a microbiology degree. This doesn't make any sense that I would want to do this. So just sharing that idea with someone was a huge step for me. And then when I got the phone call, the email to say, yeah, we're going to do the show, it became, well, how do I now get on camera when I have a massive fear around camera? So I have to put myself out there. So the camera was a big. So I went from literally hiding from a camera to being in front of one. So that was a big step between that two. So definitely couldn't be hiding when you're right in front of a TV camera.
Yeah, my heart's going thump, 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 as you talked about putting that application together and sending it in. I can just imagine. And yeah, you have to take those chances, stop hiding, and see where it leads, right? Awesome. Chris, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a story too, guys. Obviously, you guys know I'm 50 years old, but my mom was telling me when I was the first 4 years of my life, I wouldn't talk. I was shy, and to be honest, I've always had a passion for broadcasting and sports, but I don't think I was ready for it back in the 90s. It's only been maybe the last 10 years where I started developing a more of an outgoing personality and being not afraid to take risks anymore. And my old profession, to its credit, I think kind of helped prepare me for a new career, because I had to deal with different types of people, medicals, investigations, talking to people and stuff like that. And I know what it's like to play the hiding and playing small. And I think I've come a long ways in even the last 10 years as well. And a lot of the stuff you were mentioned, Danielle, can apply to not just myself, but a lot of people as well. And I just chose that I wanted to do something that I had a passion for. And I love being on camera, and I love doing the cameras for Rogers TV and the University of Guelph as well. And as you guys can see, I obviously love to talk as well.
Your passion shows through, definitely, Chris.
For sure. Awesome. I think I'm looking at the, we got time. We got time for more questions. Chris, you're up, I think. What's next?
Yes, I'm on the hot seat right here.
You're the hot seat now. Yeah.
This next question, I think you answered some of it as well, but I'm going to rephrase it. I should have typed it up differently, but I was going to ask you, Daniela, overall, what was your experience like with Rogers TV, and how much have they given you a little bit of an impact on your career as well?
I'm going to answer that really easily, Chris, in the sense that I would not be here doing what I am today. I wouldn't be having this conversation with the two of you if it wasn't for that experience, if it wasn't for them saying yes. I did my pitch training through Rogers TV, attending that, and it was because of the person who was leading that training. I got the courage to talk to him afterwards and said, I've got this idea. I don't know about it. And he said, when you send it in, let me know, so that he can take a look at it and hopefully potentially move it forward. So again, I would not be here. I am absolutely grateful to Rogers TV for that experience, for saying yes, for taking a chance on me, someone who had no idea what they were doing. But we were able to do the C-suite for 3 full seasons. And for me, again, it's not just what I'm grateful for me, where I am, is the fact that they allowed this platform for women's voices to be heard. They were very supportive of women in the show. The show was all about women. And so very grateful for that, for providing that platform for other women to be seen and heard as well.
And I'd like to ask my co-host Anandi as well, how much of an impact has Rogers TV been on your life as well and career?
Oh, absolutely huge. And for me, it would be a second career, because my first career, I'm like you, Danielle. I come from a STEM background. My background is mathematics and accounting, and there's these expectations that you got to be straight laced, and accountants have to behave in a certain way. And I'm like, nah. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do, right? And so Rogers has given me technical training, camera, doing things live, doing things scripted, meeting all sorts of people, making connections, like I did a telethon. Oh, and I was going to say too, Danielle, I think I met you first in person, or I might have met you at volunteer stuff, but we spent an evening together at KW Oktoberfest Woman of the Year one year. And
we did.
Yeah,
yes,
I remember that we
2019.
were at the Rogers table together, and I got to know you and Carla and a bunch of others, a bit better. Because with the volunteers, when you're part of the technical crew, you get to meet more people because you're on different shoots. But when you're the host of a show, you don't really get to meet the other hosts, right? So I got to meet you, which was so cool, and some other hosts as well. And that night in particular, I was speaking to Adele Newton, and I had known Adele. I'd met Adele way back when she worked at the Beat, and she remembered me. I think I'd brought like Jamaican patties to the radio station, so she remembered me as the Jamaican patty lady, not as Anandi. But anyway, that was my name, and I could live with it. I was the Jamaican patty lady, and so I said hi to her. She remembered me, and then she introduced me to Julie Adams, who was vice president or president for Rogers Radio, I think. And Julie was very generous in her time, saying, yeah, if you ever want to talk about doing careers in broadcasting, just call my secretary. And I made the trip down to Toronto. I had a day off, and I met with Julie, and Rogers is just so generous with their time, the people that are there, and making the people around them better for broadcasting, because they're passionate about broadcasting. They're passionate about storytelling. So it gave me a lot of confidence and more opportunities. And then, of course, doing on air, doing on site. It's all of it's volunteer for me. So I hesitate to call it a career, because very few if any of this is paid. But I've said this very recently, that currency is not just money. Currency is experience, and currency
Learning.
is fun, and currency is making connections. So Rogers has been a huge part of my creative life over the last decade.
Absolutely.
And can I just? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
No, go ahead, Chris.
Danielle, are you okay for another 5 minutes? Is that okay? Little 5 minutes overtime.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, Rogers. I was in the right place at the right time with the Guelph Nighthawks, and they liked my camera work. Had never done it before. Led me to Rogers. They gave this 47-and-a-half-year-old man with no broadcasting experience, half a basketball game, a chance, and then Rogers basically led to the creation of my podcast show, and I absolutely love doing camera work and now learning audio. And I think it's been a huge help. And without Rogers, I wouldn't have gotten my job with the University of Guelph Griffins, Griff Vision. And also, I wouldn't have met people like Jeff Keddy and Anandi and yourself as well. And I've had so many people in the industry, the media industry, in Canada and the US, be so supportive. And without Rogers, like I said, a lot of things would not have happened, and they gave me an opportunity as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all get to be here connected because of that opportunity with one company. It's amazing. Like such a small world.
It is a small world. Yep. And it's and I'm just going back to the theme of this podcast. It's small talk. And so, and I'm sure we each have our own little Rogers story. Well, Danielle shared hers about, and I'd love to even get some background as to how you even knew to make a pitch to Rogers. For me, it was small talk at a volunteer fair at Conestoga Mall. And I stopped out of the booth and someone chatted with me and I thought, okay, yeah, I think I can do this. So the small talk and you know, once you talk, then ideas pop out and enthusiasm comes out and you make the connections and you do follow up on that action. Hopefully you follow up on that action.
And then, and Andy, I give you credit because you came up with the idea when you said small talk when we were talking online. And I said, you know what? Why don't we use that as our podcast name? It's unique and it's creative, and it's kind of what we're doing here right now.
Yeah. So Danielle, I mean, there's so much more we can dive in, but our time is limited today. I wish we could talk for hours, but the time is the time. And I am really interested. I want to know about the services that you're providing and how can we find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on my website is daniellejoworski.com. The services I provide, it's really everything that I do is focused on the values that I have, which is conversation, connection, collaboration, and community. So I'm all about providing spaces where women feel safe to practice becoming more visible. That is through coaching. So I do one-on-one and group coaching. I also lead live conversations just like this one. I stream as well. And it's really just to help provide that platform and a place for women entrepreneurs to practice becoming more visible. So coaching, conversations, and I have an online course as well, which you can learn more about from my website.
And you're on all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, others?
YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, LinkedIn is really where I like to play the most, but I am all on those other ones as well.
I think I got your LinkedIn invite today, so I'll make sure I'll follow up on that. And I do want to stay in touch. I love what you're saying, and it so much of it resonates with me. What a pleasure seeing you again and getting to know you better. Oh, it was such fun. Can I do one last thing before we go? Are you ready to wrap up? Because I have one thing I want to do before we wrap up.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
So when I do an improv class, because I do that on the side, because it's fun, it's crazy. I want to do it.
Yeah.
We always leave with one word. So I'll start with Danielle. What's your one word for today that you got out of today's podcast?
Oh my gosh.
I'll allow it for you. Fun? Okay.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, what about you? A word or a phrase from today that you'll take away with you?
Just passion. I just really enjoy I guess the word passion.
Nice. And my word is team of believers, Danielle. That is just still sticking with me. Yeah, I'm going to adopt it and all that. Yeah. I'm going to nurture it and take care of my team of believers.
I love it.
Yeah, so Chris, I'll pass it back to Chris for the big wrap up. He knows how it's done.
Okay, I was going to say, Danielle, thank you for coming on. And I was just looking, and you came on my other show on May 5th, 2022. It just shows you how fast time goes. And I just look at the time here. We've been on for 35 minutes. I apologize. We kept you 5 minutes later. But when you're having fun and you're having a passion for something, you don't even look at your watch. It just flies by. It's like doing camera work with the University of Guelph and Rogers TV. When you're doing something, anything you're doing that you have a passion for, time just goes by so quick.
Agree. Fully agree. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Chris and Anandi. And again, celebrating you and your first episode of this new show. First of many more to come.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Danielle.
And we'll talk to you soon. And just give me about 15 minutes and I'll have this first episode downloaded to all my audio platforms, and we'll definitely share you the links as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Danielle. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
And also, before we wrap things up, and Andy, I just want to let our audience know that I want to say thank you to everybody for watching this live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on my YouTube channel, on Twitch, at Chris Palme 19 on Twitch, and also on Twitter as well. And I want to give you a plug as well. If you want to go ahead, I put it on the ticker there free as well. If somebody wants to follow you and Andy on social media.
Yes, Trini ACW, TRINI, Trini, like Trinidad, and then ACW is just my initials. So please, I'd love to connect with you, and you can see what I'm up to, and I can see what you're up to as well.
And also, hopefully, and maybe in the next week or so, we'll have a Gmail address for this show as well. If you have comments or questions or what you'd like to see on future editions of the Small Talk podcast.
Why do you keep saying smallpox? Are you trying to start another pandemic, Chris? No, it's small talk, not smallpox. Okay.
Okay, definitely. I will get that right. And I'm gonna do this too. I took it from you. A teaser for next month's February episode, February 25th. Time hasn't been determined yet. Black History Month will be wrapping up, so we're going to be pumped to have a great, I guess the Caribbean of heritage to Small Talk with us as well. And thank you again for watching us, and we'll see you soon. And Andy, thank you for being my co-host. And I think the more we do this, I think we'll get into more of a rhythm and things will go a little bit smoother. I think
it was a great first episode, and thank you for being my co-host, Chris. We'll see you next time. Yeah.
Definitely. So I hope you have a great night. And also, be careful because the weather is going to be not so nice tonight and tomorrow as well. But again, everybody, thank you so much for watching the Small Talk podcast show here live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And I will have this on my audio platforms in the next few minutes as well, such as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. So again, thank you for watching and listening to Small Talk Podcast, and with my co-host and Andy and myself. And again, thank you to Danielle Joworski for coming on season 1, episode 1 today as well. I hope everyone has a great night and has a great rest of the weekend and gets ready to some shoveling snow tonight and tomorrow as well here in Southern Ontario.
Well, you have fun shoveling, Chris, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.